But there was no reason, I had decided, that I couldn't interpret that as permission. "What are you going to do with it, Violet?" Oliver asked, pointing to the card. "I'm going to put it in the front window of the shop," I said. "Come on." The business had been doing considerably better these past few months. Father had received some compensation from the newspapers who had falsely accused him. He'd also sold an exclusive interview to the Weekly Bugle about his wrongful conviction, and not only made a tidy sum, but advertised his services at the same time. He'd been so busy that his debts were decreasing rapidly, and he had been able to hire some more staff. The first of these was Ernesto, who now manned the shop, as we called it, though it wasn't really a shop, whenever Father was out directing funerals. "Morning, Miss Violet," he said with the tip of his hat as we entered. "We had 2 arrangements made already." He was interrupted by Bones, who barreled in through the back door from the house, skidded on the wooden floor, and leapt up to greet him. Ernesto was rather afraid of dogs, but, unfortunately for him, Bones loved him. The dog had his paws on the young man's shoulders and was wagging his tail vigorously. Ernesto's expression was one of pure horror. "Down, boy!" I commanded. Bones did as he was told, looking a little sheepish but pleased with himself, his tail still wagging 19 to the dozen. "You know Ernesto doesn't like it when you carry on so." Ernesto backed away, dabbing at his brow with his handkerchief. "Dios mío," he muttered. "Sorry," I said. "He's just rather fond of you." "He's quite all right, miss," he said, but he still looked a little in shock. It happened any time I let Bones near him, but he was still not used to it. He turned and began going through the files in the cabinet behind him. Ernesto was rather afraid of a lot of things, I had discovered. The list included spiders, sharp objects, and, for some reason, pickles. Thankfully, for the sake of his job, the one thing he didn't seem to be at all afraid of was death. I went over to the window in the front of the shop that was currently housing a beautifully painted coffin decorated with immortelles, the everlasting flowers. I leaned across and put my business card in one of the window panels, balanced on the frame. "What are you doing, Miss Violet?" Ernesto called from beside the cabinets. "Nothing." Oliver gave me a look. Even Bones seemed to be peering at me suspiciously. "What?" I whispered. "Either Father will notice or he won't. I shall have to explain to him sooner or later." "And what if he does?" Oliver asked. I waved my hand dismissively. I would worry about that when it happened. "Shouldn't you be out being his apprentice by now?" Oliver spun round to look up at the clock that sat high on the back wall. "Is it 8 already?" I nodded, although, to be precise, it was only 5 minutes to. "Blast! I'd better run!" And, with that, he dashed out into the corridor. Ernesto got back up, fanned himself, then sat down at the desk. I crossed my fingers that Oliver wouldn't tell Father about my new business venture straight away, but I was fairly sure he wouldn't. We were firm friends after all, and friends had to stick together. And of course, I was going to rope him into it in any way that I could. Even though things were going better for us financially, we were not out of the woods yet. We still only had one servant, where once we had employed a whole staff. I realised now that we were lucky to have a roof over our heads, but even that would be under threat if Father couldn't repay all his debts. Perhaps if I could make a bit of money on the side, it would help Mother and Father. I opened the front door of the shop and stepped out into the bustling street, Bones trotting behind me. I couldn't help but smile at the sight of my card in the window. This was a new beginning. I had set the bait. Now, to wait and see what mysteries would fall into my...